Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I'm back with another video and today's topic is the return of Christ. How long is a long time? As you may have surmised from the title, in today's video we're going to be focusing on one phrase in particular, and that is the phrase a long time in relation to how long Jesus's return would be after his ascension into heaven. Now, the focus of this phrase, a long time, begins in the parable of the talents. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, I encourage you to go and read the parable of the talents. You will find that in Matthew 25, verses 14 to 30. And in short, the parable of the talents is about, you guessed it, the return of Christ. It is about Christ going away and then coming back to reward those who were obedient to him and to punish those who were disobedient to him. Now, this is actually a passage that many people will bring up to me when I am talking about the fact that I believe that Jesus came back in the first century. And I believe that is exactly what he alluded to when he would speak to his followers, and they would point me to Matthew 25 in the parable of the talents, and they would say, aha, I want you to look at verse 19 and see what it says about the master of the slaves. And who is the master of those slaves representative of? Well, the master is representative of Christ. And it says in verse 19 in this parable, now after a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. And they'll say, see, it says right there that he was gone a long time. So much for your theory about him returning in his generation, as you often try to say. And that's what people will say to me. They'll say it says right here in the parable of the talents that he was gone for a long time. So there you go. That could be thousands of years, just like, most people believe that it has been thousands of years and is still off in our future somewhere. And that would, in the way that we use the phrase long time, sure, that could possibly mean that. Before I get into a long time, though, I do want to point out one thing that I think is quite obvious, is that when the master returns, he settles up with the same slaves that he left. So this isn't a long enough time that these slaves are no longer living and that there's generations of people now down the line that he comes back to either reward or punish. It is the same slaves that he came back to. So just keep that in mind, okay? But now, though, let's focus on the phrase a long time. And I'm going to start in Joshua 24:7. And when they cried to the Lord, he put darkness between you and the Egyptians, and made the sea come upon them and cover them. And your eyes saw what I did in Egypt, and you lived in the wilderness a long time. You see the phrase a long time. Now, the context of this, and it tells us right over here, Joshua is reviewing Israel's history. And this is talking about the Exodus. This is talking about the Israelites leaving Egypt, led by Moses. And the last sentence of this verse that we just read is, and you lived in the wilderness a long time. Okay. So, for those of you who may have, even if you have not been a Christian for a long time, if you even grew up in Sunday school, even at a nominal church and you went to Sunday school, you probably know the answer to this question. How long were the Israelites in the wilderness for? They were in the wilderness for 40 years. And it says here again, and you lived in the wilderness a long time. So according to Joshua 24:7, 40 years is a long time. Next, I'm going to take you to Luke 9:31, and this is a verse that is in the passage about the transfiguration. And one thing that you may or may not know is that the book of Revelation is considered by many people to be the greater Exodus. There are many, many, many parallels in the book of Revelation to the Exodus. And if Berean Bible Church has a really good sermon on this, where they give all of the parallels between the Exodus and Egypt and what was written in the book of Revelation, because it is believed by many, myself included, that upon Jesus' ascension, there was a period of time which was about 40 years, same as the Israelites spent in the wilderness. And when the Israelites were in the wilderness, their goal was the promised land, which was Canaan. And it took them 40 years to get there, because there were lots of complications in the midst. One of them, the major one, being disobedience, which made them take so long. But their goal was the promised land, which was Canaan. At Jesus' ascension, after that 40-year period, there was a promised land. This was the antitype of Canaan. Now, in the Old Testament and the New Testament, there are often what are called types and shadows in the Old Testament, and then the antitype, or the fulfillment, in the New Testament. And the types and shadows are examples, or they are smaller fulfillments of something that is going to be ultimately fulfilled in Christ in the New Testament, in the New Covenant. And that is what Canaan was. Canaan was a type of the New Covenant, which was the promised land for the Christians in the New Testament. If we go to Hebrews chapter 12, we'll even see some of these parallels where they are even comparing Jesus and Moses. And this says in Hebrews 12, starting with verse 18, "For you have not come to what may be touched, a blazing fire and darkness and gloom and a tempest, and the sound of a trumpet and a voice whose words made the hearers beg that no further messages be spoken to them. For they could not endure the order that was given. If even a beast touches the mountain, it shall be stoned. Indeed, so terrifying was the sight that Moses said, I tremble with fear. But you," and he is speaking to the Hebrews, his contemporaries, "but you have come to Mount Zion, and to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to innumerable angels in festal gathering, and to the assembly of the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven, and to God, the judge of all, and to the spirits of the righteous made perfect, and to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel." So while Moses and the Old Covenant led them to the promised land of Canaan, Jesus and the New Covenant led them to the ultimate promised land, which is the heavenly Jerusalem. So with that contextual information for you, now I'm going to read Luke 9:31. And remember, this is taking place in the passage about the Transfiguration. Actually, let's start with verse 30. "Suddenly 2 men, Moses and Elijah, began talking with Jesus. They appeared in glory and spoke about his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem." So you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with anything? Well, remember how I was just comparing the transition from the Old Covenant to the New after the period of Jesus' ascension up to the destruction of Jerusalem, which I don't think I articulated that before, but that happened 40 years later. Okay. And it was called by many people the Greater Exodus. Some people call it the Second Exodus. And I also showed you the comparison between that point in time, that transitional period, with the Exodus. Well, if we look here at the Greek, and when it's speaking about Jesus's departure, which is after this is referring to his ascension into heaven. It says, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. So they appeared in glory and spoke about his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Well, what's the word for departure? Exodon. It is the same word that the word Exodus comes from. So it's just another parallel there that I wanted to share with you, and we see here that it's translated as Exodus very often, and it's Exodus. All right. same word that was used in Luke. Go back here again, Luke 9. Use the word Exodus for Jesus's departure. So we just have like another parallel, and you might think, oh, well, that's not a big deal. I think it's pretty cool, especially with, we already looked at Joshua 24:7. Okay, first we have the phrase long time in the parable of the talents. The master was gone a long time. And then we have a reference for how long a long time is, at least in reference to the Exodus, and that is 40 years. You lived in the wilderness a long time. They lived in the wilderness for 40 years. When Jesus left, it was called the Exodus. And then Numbers 32:13. And the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was gone. So, here in Numbers 32:13, do we not only have a reference to the wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, which the wandering in the wilderness for 40 years was referred to as a long time in Joshua 24:7, but it is also telling us how long a biblical generation is, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was gone. Now, there are some people who may disagree with how long a biblical generation is, but I would say that most biblical scholars and theologians would agree that a biblical generation is 40 years, and many of them will point to this particular verse to show you how long a biblical generation is. Okay? And the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was gone. So we have a long time was 40 years. And now we have that a generation is 40 years. Some of you may know where I'm going to go next. Matthew 24:34. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. So, in the parable of the talents, the master has gone a long time, which very well could be 40 years. Jesus said that it would be within his generation, which is also 40 years, that all the things that he spoke of in the Olivet Discourse would happen, and that would include his return, his parousia, his presence, his coming. What happened 40 years after this Olivet Discourse? The destruction of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple. The judgment of Jerusalem was Jesus's coming. It happened 40 years later. It was a long time if you compare it to Joshua 24:7, which called 40 years a long time. So just as the Israelites in the wilderness spent 40 years getting to their promised land, the Christians, the believers, from the transition of the old covenant to the new, spent 40 years getting to the ultimate promised land, which occurred after the coming of Christ. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one down below. And if you like my work and would like to become a channel member, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. Or you can just click on it right on my channel page. And I hope you have a great day.